Red Homestead here. We're back at the camper today, and this plywood piece here is going to fit one way or another. I'm not going to have no for an answer. So I've got it out here in my extremely noisy driveway on my very expensive sawhorse, and we're going to go ahead and what happened last time is in the nose of the camper there's a wiring bundle that the wiring bundle in the front of the camper is jutting in on this corner, so what I'm going to do is mark out that spot there, and we're going to try to fit this in again. If this doesn't fit nicely this time, I'm going to remove the entire nose piece and it'll fit whether it likes it or not. Okay. Junk, not junk. Now that that's sorted out, that piece is notched out, I'm going to lug this back into the camper and try to fit it in one more time. We're back in the camper now, and what's going to have to happen is this entire front board is going to need to come off because the distance here is longer than the distance between the couch and the front wall because the plywood has to go up to the nose. So this piece is going to have to come off, and then we should be able to get this thing completely done. Okay, YouTube, all that fighting and cursing off camera and breaking things and basically mashing my hands to pieces, we've got it down. It's fitting, and I think it looks really, really nice. I had to remove the front panel there. There's simply no way to slide that under nicely without inventing curse words, which I don't really want to do. So the next step here is just to screw this down, and you'll probably notice light yonder. In another episode here, I'm going to go along the front there with a I don't know, fascia board or some such thing, and that's going to get a new board all across the front, which is going to allow me to re-screw the fiberglass shell back to the solid wood instead of the rotted wood, and that will once again hopefully bring back some waterproof. The next step here is this second piece, which I pray it goes smoother than the first piece. So sit tight, we'll be back. I'm happy to report that little son of a gun is not going anywhere. I fought like crazy to get where it is, and we got it. I've screwed it along the rails that I built and also along the support. Pro tip, if you're going to lay this down, figure out where your supports are across. It took a couple of trial and error screws to find it, but it's not a amazingly huge deal. Once you find it, as long as you can follow a straight line, you're pretty well set. I am going to put another support here at the joint, and that'll probably be a 2x4 or something of that nature, whatever I could find on the property to stretch across the frame rails, and that'll ensure that nobody goes into the joint or gets their toe stubbed or pinched. Update on the second sheet of plywood. I've found it, but it's going to take a month of Sundays to dig it out. I'm going to attempt to do that today, but this may be the last section of this video for the day. It depends on how fast that comes out of the barn. So here's why we should strive as homeowners, homesteaders, and anybody that has a storage space to always stay organized. If you can see this carpet there, the sheet of plywood that I need for the next step of the project is behind that. To get to that, I have to move a mountain. Be right back. Well, that wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it would be. It is out of the barn, and I'll worry about the mess in the barn another time. So what I've done is, while the off screen here, I have cut the piece of plywood to the right size. And I've also cut the brace to go at the joint. I'm gonna go toss those in and we'll get this floor wrapped up. The lumber, the 2x4 here is repurposed. We always try to do that here on the homestead whenever we can, is to either use reclaimed or repurposed, and I buy stuff as a last resort. It's just a better way to do things when you know that what you're putting back to use isn't being wasted or isn't having to be a new resource. Okay, gang, here we are. We are at the final piece, and what's happening is my kitchen cabinets aren't allowing for the space the board needs. Everything else fits nice, so what I've done is use the crowbar to just kind of jimmy those up a little bit, and I'm going to go get my big hammer and finish pushing this. I only need about 1/8 of an inch, and then it'll be set where it needs to be. So I'll let you know after the banging and hollering is done. Alright, one thing I wanted to tell you guys, I forgot to put it in the last clip. If you're going to be using the big hammer, see this board? You want to put a board along the edge of whatever piece you're working with. That goes with almost anything woodworking plus hammers. That way you don't smash up the nice clean edge and you bang up a piece of scrap instead. So the primary floor is down. It's going to get a nice laminate coating over the top of it. I'm going to do no more of this horrible linoleum. It's going to be nice laminate wood. It's a little higher, you can see on the heat vent. The floor is a little higher than it was before. Totally okay. And I do have that step that we talked about in the last video. I'm going to have to address that in the next video. But for now, I think we've accomplished enough for one day. This looks beautiful. And it's sturdy too. You can move right on it and you don't feel like you're going to fall through at all. Which means I did my job right. So, until next time, see you at Homestead.